Chronicler's note. I have secretly dispatched Lady Armonia's former maid, an elf girl named Valoret, to locate my erstwhile princess and inform her that the Temple of Harula is now sending messages daily, inquiring when the princess will be returning to continue her studies as a priestess. I truly hope that Valoret will be quick, although the journey to Alframe from Tarastier is not short. I don't know how long I can maintain this secret. Meta note. These summaries are produced using the assistance of AI from Roll20 chat logs and are meant to share and keep a record of an ongoing campaign.
The forest had grown eerily quiet. Xenon slipped away into the shadows, determined to warn the village of the danger that still lingered. The rest of the Misfits gathered themselves. Bardin Amberrock, always eager for direct action, and suggested pushing further on. Harmony Gold, still kneeling in prayer for the fallen goblins, finally rose with bright determination. Whether goblin or human, she believed all souls deserved respect. But with prayer complete, her excitement returned.
To the castle, then,
she declared, unable to keep the thrill from her voice. The party moved out, though not without the usual chaos. Harmony briefly tried to take the lead, then panicked and scurried behind Bardin and Brenna. Brenna, unimpressed, shoved her right back forward. Bryan swore he'd try not to burn the place down, and Amalia offered to walk alongside Harmony, half to reassure and half to keep her from wandering off. Still, the Misfit Sword Priestess managed to get distracted enough that the group lost her after she wandered off the trail for several minutes. At last, they arrived. A ruined castle from the days of the Magitech civilization, ringed by a high wall, its gate broken and voices echoing within. The Barbarous inside were celebrating with a raucous feast, a perfect chance for an ambush. Bryan whispered about blowing them up, but Harmony reminded him that the boy, Al, might still be alive. They couldn't risk fire and destruction before they knew. Before a plan could be settled, Brenna decided subtlety was overrated. She strode out, declaring her heritage in fluent Barbarous and demanding that the rabble kneel before her. The chance of a stealthy approach vanished. Bardin sighed. Harmony, from her hiding spot, whispered in obvious hero worship.
She's so cool.
The Barbarous poured out. Goblins, a gremlin, and their leader. A hulking Bolg with 6 sword shards gleaming on his chest. The Bolg mocked Brenna, calling her a weak blood. She struck at him in fury, but the beast shrugged off her attack. The air grew tense. The battle began. Bryan unleashed magic, blasting bolts of energy through their foes. Harmony raised her rapier and called out weak points, lending her comrades strength and confidence. Bardin swung his great sword with steady precision. Amalia fought with steel and spell, and Brenna, eyes flashing dangerously, fought to avenge the insult to her bloodline. Even Alice, Bryan's wooden golem, joined the fray, pounding enemies into the dirt. The fighting was fierce. Goblins tried to gut them, arrows flew, and the Bolg charged straight at Brenna. The Drake warrior danced around his attacks and retaliated with feral determination. Bardin took heavy blows, but Harmony's prayers kept him standing, radiant healing flowing from her words. Bryan unleashed his full arcane might. 3 searing bolts of energy struck the Bolg in rapid succession, each tearing into the brute until he fell, lifeless before Brenna's boots. She roared in rage, furious that the kill was stolen from her by magic, but the battlefield was won. The last goblins fell, their blood mixing with the dirt. Only a single gremlin fled, limping into the forest beyond the wall. Bardin gave chase, but the creature vanished into the trees. Harmony urged that the village be warned. Bryan mused that perhaps they could track it later. It might lead them to yet another stronghold. For now, their focus had to be on the boy. The Misfits searched the ruins, but there were no signs of Al. Instead, they found grim remains. Slaughtered goats, a handful of survivors among them, and a small fortune in silver. Near the Barbarous campfire lay a letter, written in their harsh tongue. Bryan handed it to Brenna, who still seethed with rage but snatched it up and read aloud. The message was short, but chilling. We are close to capturing the base. The boy is stubborn, running out of food. take from the village. The implication was clear. Al still lived, but the Barbarous were desperate and striking at the villagers to sustain themselves. The Misfits now had their next lead, and the urgency of their quest deepened. Somewhere beyond these ruined walls, the boy was waiting, and the enemy was closing in.
Meta summary. This session leaned heavily into the chaotic energy that defines the Merry Misfits, blending humor, character interplay, and sudden violence into a seamless adventure beat. The approach to the warehouse was less about flawless tactics and more about showcasing the party's personalities. Harmony's earnest but scatterbrained leadership, Bardin's steadfast pragmatism, Amalia's quiet competence, Bryan's reckless but effective arcane firepower, and Brenna's proud ferocity that demands center stage. Even Alice, the oak golem, reminded everyone of her raw reliability in battle. The ruined castle provided a natural narrative escalation, moving from the aftermath of the forest ambush to a fortified enemy position. The choice to have Brenna call out the Barbarous instead of sneaking reinforced the group's identity. This is not a subtle party, and their victories come as much from willpower and bravado as from planning. The Bolg's insult of weak blood was a brilliant trigger for Brenna's character arc, while Harmony's frantic healing and tactical shouts once again balanced her lighthearted energy with moments of genuine importance. Combat itself was tense but satisfying. Bryan's explosive finishing spell demonstrated both risk and reward. Bardin absorbed the brunt of enemy blows, and Brenna embodied the party's fury. The battle felt dangerous without being overwhelming, with each character given space to act decisively. Finally, the discovery of the letter tied the combat back into the larger narrative. Al's survival, paired with the threat to the village, sharpened the stakes and gave the party a clear sense of direction. The gremlin's escape added lingering tension, an unresolved thread that could return later. Overall, the session struck a strong balance between comedy and drama, reminding players that while the Misfits may stumble, squabble, and improvise their way into danger, their courage and unity drive the story forward. It was both a showcase of character-driven chaos and a meaningful step toward the next chapter of their quest.